Shalom. Before I get started with this lesson, I want to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rahakwadash. Double honors to my apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught me this truth and that rule well. Peace and salutation to the elect that's out here laboring in all truth and sincerity. To you, I say Shalom. This brother Amon Ariel from the GM at Charlotte Camp, coming back with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rahakwadash. And pretty much with this lesson, I wanted to pretty much, do part two to the lesson that I did the other day, dealing with how King James, was not a white man, nor was he a homosexual. Now, I did the original video, sometime last week, and the audio got corrupted halfway through, so I uploaded the first half of just the lesson dealing with how King James was a so-called black man before the audio cut out. So, you can check out that first half on my channel. So I just wanted to, finish out the rest of the video that got cut off, due to the screen recording program that I used. Since it messed it up, I'm gonna re-record it, and Lord willing, the audio is fine on this one. So, just going back over the point of, attacking this narrative, how, King James was a homosexual. Now, I wanted to, address that. So, starting out, okay, you want to get, where is it at? Bear with me. This is 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 4, and it reads, "Neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies, which minister questions, rather than godly edifying, which is in faith so do," right? It says to neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies, right? So go into this word fables real quick. All right, it's G3454 mythos, and definition 2 says a fiction, a fable, an invention, and falsehood. And that's exactly what this rumor that people have, taken on to be a so-called fact, that King James was a homosexual. All right, scriptures tell you real quick. First Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 21, it says, "Prove all things, hold fast to which is good," right? So, I just wanted to bring the proof that this narrative that King James was a homo is not true, which is why the scriptures say back in 1 Timothy 1 and 4 to neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies, which minister questions, rather than godly edifying, which is in faith so do, because people will try to discredit the Bible and say that it's not valid because King James, contradicts himself by, being a homo, but then the Bible condemns, Moism. All right. So this is why, a lot of people, when they come up and they see us reading, they ask, is this a King James Bible? And the first thing they ask, well, one of the first things they ask, well, wasn't he, a white man? Or wasn't he, a Mo? And as we're going to go into this lesson, we're going to find out that that's not true. All right. Because at the end of the day, these are just things that people use to make it to where they don't want to hear the words of the Bible. But as we understand, that King James didn't necessarily write the scriptures. Okay, the Lord used King James, all right, to have the Bible translated, as you see over here in the picture that I have on the right side of the screen. Okay, it says King James was a king of Great Britain, France, and Ireland. He was a black man, and the King James Bible is named after him. King James approved 54 scholars to work on the translation. 47 worked in 6 groups at 3 locations for 7 years, comparing previous English translations, the Geneva Bible, and texts in the original languages Hebrew and Greek. The King James translation had a significant influence on the English language and was widely accepted as the standard English Bible because of the project being overseen by King James and the care and precise attention to detail during this 7 years translation. The King James Bible was considered to be one of the most accurate translations in existence. So the point being that King James did not write the scriptures, all right? Because when they'll try to say this is a so-called white man book and this and that. No, King James just translated the scriptures, all right? Which is why when they grab this here in the book of Psalms, chapter 68 and 11, it says the Lord gave the word. These are the Lord's words that we're reading in the scriptures, man. Okay, the Lord gave the word. Great was the company of those that published it, right? And King James was a vessel that was used to, translate the Bible into the English that we have, right now, so that we're able to go and read the scriptures because we know the original scriptures were written in Hebrew and Greek, man. You know, so we in this captivity, all right, we don't have the ability to read fluent Hebrew and Greek, which is why the Bible was translated. All right, the Spirit was put on King James to translate these scriptures so that we could, in these last days now, have the ability to go into the scriptures. And then, with the Lord blessing us with the ability to go into Hebrew and Greek, all right, we can, go into the original manuscripts and, get the words that we need to get to understand the scriptures even better because as it just said that they were translated. So I want to grab this here real quick in the book of Sirach, chapter 1 in the prologue. All right. So where we at? All right. So right here it says, "Wherefore let me entreat you to read it with favor and attention, and pardon us, wherein we may see it's like we may seem to come short of some words which we have labored to interpret. For the same things uttered in Hebrew and translated into another tongue have not the same force in them, and not only these things, but the law itself and the prophets and the rest of the books have no small difference when they are spoken in their own language," right? So this is why it's better, to be able to go into the Hebrew and even the Greek to understand, the meaning of the words, all right, to get a better understanding of the scriptures versus going off of face value dealing with this English, because English, it with these words, you don't get the full understanding, man. Which is why a lot of the confusion, comes out of that when people are trying to, break down the scriptures. But the point being, like I said, King James didn't actually write the Bible; he just had it translated. Okay, so this is Second Peter chapter 1 and 20. It says, "Knowing this first, that no prophecy of the scripture is of any private interpretation, for the prophecy came not in time, it's like in old time by the will of man." So these words were here way before King James had the scriptures, translated. It says, "But holy men of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua spake as they were moved by the Holy Spirit." Right. So the Spirit moved King James to be able to translate, or will have the Bible translated, all right, into the Old English and then eventually into the English we have right now. And that was an extensive period, as we just read. All right, he had 54 scholars work on the translation, 47 worked in six groups at three locations for 7 years, comparing previous English translations and texts in the original languages of Hebrew and Greek, man. All right, so King James did a extensive work, all right, through the Spirit, so that we could have, these scriptures today. All right, like the scriptures say, things are written aforetime were written for our learning. So King James was an avid believer of the scriptures. All right, so that narrative of saying that he was a Mo, all right, people say that but don't know where that came from. Because if that was the case, if King James really wrote the scriptures, then why would this law be in here condemning the very act that he claims to be, or they claim him to be? Okay, Leviticus 20 and 13, it says, "If a man also lie with mankind as he lied with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. their blood shall be upon them. Right. So this is a law that condemns Moism. So that right there, number one, cuts the notion of that, because that will make King James a hypocrite. Now, I wanted to get into this, all right, because this is addressing that narrative of if King James was really a homosexual, man. Okay, and I have a few other, literature to prove that that's a false accusation. All right. So right here it says from Zion.com, it says the real story of King James the first. All right. It says, was King James really the ungodly man that his modern critics proclaim him to be? It says, I never with God's grace shall do anything in private which I may not without shame proclaim upon the top of the houses. Right. And this is a quote from King James, which right there automatically shows you that King James was a man of high moral integrity. Okay, it says he wouldn't. We'll read it again. I never with the Most High's grace shall do anything in private, which I may not do. It's like with I may not without shame proclaim upon the housetops. So pretty much, King James wasn't a hypocrite, man. All right, he wouldn't do something in private and then condemn it in public, because that would, like I said, make him a hypocrite. All right, and there must go much more of the making of a guilty man than rumor. Ben Jonson of 1605. All right, so it says using the person of King James to attack the King James Bible. King James was a fag. How can you advocate a Bible that was translated by a faggot from the internet chat room? And these are talking points that people use to come against the scriptures, man. Okay, which it takes away from the edifying, because we have to address these pointless rumors like this. But for those that truly don't know where this comes from, or they may actually believe that but never did the research to back that up, this is why this lesson is being done, so that edification is given. All right. So it says King James was a homosexual, was a bitter persecutor of our fathers. King James chose the King James translators, instructed the King James translators, approved and disapproved portions of the translation. Baptist evangelist J.H. Melton, many critics of the King James Bible are deeply condescending towards the defenders of the King James Bible. This is seen in the statement by James White in his book, The King James Only Controversy. The KJV only controversy feeds upon the ignorance among Christians regarding the origin, transmission, and translation of the Bible. Those who have taken the time to study this area are not likely candidates for the induction into the KJV only camp. But the truth is that the defenders of the King James are often far from educated on this subject than their critics. Many books have been published on the issue over the last few years. Many King James Bible defenders are easily able to shatter the often shallow attacks on the King James Bible. It is not unusual for those who have found their pet arguments shattered to retreat to an argument like this. Well, after all, King James was a homosexual. But was he? Is this just a very historically shallow, unsound repetition of gossip and rumor, or is it a historical fact? It must be admitted that many historians report that King James was a Mo, but what is the evidence of such a charge? If King James was not a Mo, his memory has been done a great injustice. The real King James was a very different man than one described by the critics of the King James Bible. All right, so we're gonna get into some of the backstory of where all this comes from. All right, so like I said, in the first lesson, I read and broke down how King James came from a lineage of black rulers of Scott Great Britain, France, and Ireland, like it says in here. So I'm not really going to focus on this. If you want to get into that part, you can listen to the first part of the lesson that's already on the channel. All right, so let's jump down. All right, so the origins of the attack on King James. There is no record of anyone accusing King James of homosexual behavior during his lifetime. If you read most modern historians, you would believe that King James homosexuality was open and widely regarded, but this is far from the truth. There are absolutely no contemporary accounts alleging morality, yeah, morality on King James' part, though there are no contemporary accounts praising him for his moral virtue. Sir Anthony Weldon was an officer in the royal household of King James. He was knighted by King James in 1617. He was eventually dismissed from the royal guard by King James and he vowed to get revenge. He supported the anti monarchy forces during the English Civil War. 25 years after the death of King James, 1 year after the execution of Charles I, King James' son, Weldon made the first accusations of Moism against King James. His statements were widely rejected at the time because there were still too many living people who had known King James personally and who dismissed the allegations as ridiculous. Disgruntled courtiers and political opponents picked up the allegations against King James and began to use innuendo to hurt his reputation. While not accusing him directly of Moism, they tried to create questions about his loyalties to his close friends and associates. These 17th century critics seemed to fall into two groups. Some had their political and personal ambitions thwarted by King James. Uh, Others opposed his policy by uniting Scotland and England into one kingdom. All of these allegations came from people who had a strong bias against James, and they all were made a long time after his death. Some historians began to repeat these attacks against King James without investigation. Soon, vague allegations, rumor, innuendo, and speculations were reported as historical fact. While some historians have sifted through the rumors to get to the facts, many just repeated the statements of previous historians without any exclamation. And this is what, or it's like examination. This is why the scriptures tell us that we must do a diligent search. I'm gonna leave that on there. All right. All right. We must, damn, Salaki. The scripture tells us that we must prove, ourselves, all right, as being scholars. Not that one, Salaki. Study. All right, this is 2 Timothy 2:15. It says, "Study to show thyself approved unto the Most High, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth." Right, and part of us rightly dividing the word of truth is knowing, all right, the things that we're saying is fact. Okay, we're not going off of hearsay. We're not going off of rumors. Scriptures tell us, as we read earlier, to prove all things. So this is what we're proving, that the notion that King James was a mo. This it came you know from rumors and things that was trying to discredit the legacy of King James, and this is what we're proving. Okay, so going back into the this article, it says in the 18th century, the primary reporters of King James morality were those who opposed the great union of opposed the union of Great Britain, and also Roman Catholics who resented the support that James gave Protestants. In the 20th century, two different groups have clung to the allegations about King James and propagated them in defiance of the fact. It says homosexual activists have been determined to claim King James as their own. These are the same activists who claim that Abraham Lincoln, William Shakespeare, the biblical King David and Jonathan, and even Yahushua HaMashiach were real modes. Historical facts mean nothing to these people. They care only about their political and social agenda. It is a travesty when evangelicals quote their books as credible sources. The second group, which refuses to be persuaded by the facts about King James, are those who wish to use King James' supposed Moism to discredit the King James Bible. And that's the main people that come up against us, the Israelites, man. All right, they'll try to use this law, all right, to say that, hey, this book that we're reading out of is incredible. All right, that it contradicts itself. Okay, it says in 1985, Moody Monthly magazine alerted the evangelical world to the allegation that King James was a Mo. These changes these charges came in an article called "The Real King James" by Karen Allen Wojan. No evidence was provided. The article was accompanied by the King says by the Bible that bears his name by Leslie Keylock. This article was an attack on the King James Bible. Numerous attempts have been made to get Moody Monthly to either document or withdraw the charges made in these articles, but 14 years later, neither has been done. Despite the lack of evidence, and in spite of the evidence to the contrary, some evangelicals are quick to use the baseless accusations against King James to bolster their attack on the King James Bible, but facts are contrary things. King James never claimed to be a Mo. He was never accused of being one during his lifetime. No one ever claimed to see Mo claimed to see James in a Mo situation. These accusations against him, past and present, stem from bias and not from fact. The character and record of King James clearly refutes the charges of Moism against King James. All right. Now, like I said, the guy that was the main proponent of that, like I said, we read up here earlier, was somebody that was amongst him. Okay, his royal guard, Anthony Weldon. All right, so these rumors began to come out after King James had died. All right, and like I said, you could read the rest of this, but I have from this book that he wrote to his sons dealing with excuse me, dealing with it's called the Balis Basilic Duran. I want to say a Basilic Duran Salakia. This is out of this book, which condemns anything dealing with Moism. Okay, so in this book, King James is pretty much prepping his child up, all right, to be the natural successor to the throne, and in doing so, you see throughout this book, all right, him telling his sons to worship the Most High, man. All right, so like I said, King James had high moral integrity. All right. So, matter of fact, before I even read this, I want to get this real quick because what King James did, all right, was essentially what we did in our culture, which was setting our house in order before all right we passed on to the spirit world, man. All right, so you will prep your sons, okay, all right, with the proper preparation to continue on the legacy that you had left for him, man. All right, so this is First Kings chapter 2 verse 1. It says, now the days of David drew nigh that he should die, and he charged Solomon his son, saying, I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man. Excuse me. And keep the charge of the Lord thy power, to walk in his ways, to keep his commandments, to keep his statutes and his commandments, and his judgments and his testimonies, as it is written in the law of Moses, that thou mayest prosper in all that thou doest, and whithersoever thou turnest thyself, that the Lord may continue his word which he spake concerning me, saying, if thy children take heed to their way, to walk before me in truth with all their heart and with all their soul, there shall not fail thee, said he, a man on the throne of Israel. Okay, and this is what King James essentially did with his son. Okay, so let's go into this a little bit. All right. So it says, to Henry, my dearest son and natural successor, it says, and I'm going to just read, briefly through this, sticking really with the highlighted points on here. All right. But it says, to whom can so rightly appertain this book of the instruction of a prince in all the points of his calling, as well general as a Christian towards the Most High, as particular as a king towards his people, to whom I say, can it so justly appertain as unto you, my dearest son, since I, the author thereof, as your natural father, must be careful for your godly and virtuous education as my eldest son, and the first fruits of the Most High's blessing toward me and my posterity, and as a king, most faithfully provide for your training up in all the points of a king's office, since ye are my natural and lawful successor therein, that being rightly informed hereby of the weight of your burden, you may in time begin to consider that being born to a king, ye are rather born to onus than honest, not excelling all your people so far in rank and honor as in daily care, daily care and hazardous painstaking for the dutiful administration of that great office that the Most High have laid upon your shoulders, laying so a just symmetry and proportion betwixt the height of your honorable place and the heavy weight of your great charge, and consequently, in case of failure, which Yahweh Shem Yahushua forbid, of the sadness of your fall according to the proportion of that height. Jumping down, it says to conclude, I charge you, as ye as you think to deserve my fatherly blessing, to follow and put in practice as far as life in you, and the precepts hereafter following. And if ye follow the contrary course, I take the great power to record that this book shall one day be a witness betwixt you and me. Land shall procure to be ratified in heaven. The curse that in that case here I give you, for I protest before the great power, I had rather be not a father and childless, nor be a father of wicked children, but hoping, yea, even promising unto myself, that Yahweh Shem Yahushua, who in his great blessing sent you unto me, shall in the same blessing as he have given me a son, not repenting him of his mercy shown to me, I end this preface with my earnest prayer to Yahweh Shem Yahushua to work affectionately unto you the fruits of that blessing which here from my heart I bestow unto you. And what, like I said, King James was doing, okay, was pretty much, imparting, all right, the knowledge that, look, you need to worship Yahweh Shem Yahushua, man. Okay? This is Proverbs 22:6. It says, train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. And this is what King James was doing. He was prepping his son, all right, to pretty much know that, look, just as I worship Yahweh Shem Yahushua, all right, if you want to keep a kingdom prosperous, all right, you need to worship Yahweh Shem Yahushua and follow his law, statute, commandments too. So for these naysayers out here to try to say that King James was a homosexual, this would be going against the very thing that he was, telling his son. All right, because as we go deeper into that book, okay, I'm gonna read this around paragraph 15. It says the second book. All right, so it says, right, I'm gonna read this part right here. It says, but as this severe, like it, hold on, zoom in. All right, it says, but as this, uh, and forgive me because this old English is a little difficult to read sometimes. It says, but as this serve justice of yours upon all offenses would be, but for a time, as I have already said, so is there some horrible crimes that you are bound in conscience never to forgive, such as witchcraft, willful murder, incest, especially within the degrees of, I'm not really sure what this word is, uh, sodomy, poisoning, and false coin. As for the offense against your own person and authority, since the fault concerneth yourself, I remit to your own choice to punish or pardon. All right. So as you see right here, it says crimes unpardonable. So King James was telling his son, look, these certain crimes are unforgivable, man. All right, which are witchcraft. All right, which we already know what the Lord thinks about a witch. Okay, just going into that real quick. All right, because as Exodus 22:18, it says, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." All right, so being a witch, Okay, it's it's a sin unto death, man. All right. So like how you spell it? Try to remember how it's worded. Give me 1 second. Look at my phone. All right. Let me see. Deuteronomy. All right. This is Deuteronomy chapter 18 and 10. It says, "There shall not be found among you, found among anyone that maketh his son or daughter pass through the fire, or that useth the divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord, and because of these abominations of the Lord, thy power do drive them out the land." So the point being, if you are a witch, that's a sin unto death. All right, that's an unpardonable offense to the Lord. All right, so it says that it says willful murder. Okay, scriptures tell us thou shalt not murder. Okay, it says incest and sodomy. All right, so going back, Leviticus 20 and 13. This is why this is written. King James condemned this. Okay, he said this was a sin unforgivable. So if going back to the article, going back up, it says this was a quote from himself, King James himself. It says, "I never with the Most High's grace shall do anything in private, which I may not without shame proclaim upon the tops of the houses." So King James openly condemned homosexuality because he was, a believer in the Lord. So just as it says, he was telling his sons that, look, keeping the law, all right, Moism, all right, is a sin unto death, man. All right, and it said incest. Now, when you jump down, all right, Leviticus 20 and 17. If a man shall take his sister, his daughter's, his father's daughter, or his mother's daughter to see her nakedness, and she sees his nakedness, which is a wicked thing, that shall be cut off in the sight of their people. He have uncovered his sister's nakedness. She shall bear his iniquity. Um, I believe it was something another one too. But the point being, like I said, witchcraft was a sin unto death. All right, Moism, incest. These things are all unforgivable sins. So King James was you know prepping his children. All right, well his son mainly. All right, to follow the laws of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai ultimately, man. Okay, because like it read in the other one, he said he would rather be fatherless than to be a father of ungodly children, and that was actual scriptural because King Solomon had literally said that. Okay, this is Wisdom of Solomon 4:1. Better is it to have no children and to have virtue, for the memorial thereof is immortal, because it is known with the Most High and with men. Okay, because if you go to the previous chapter, we already know, the judgment for unruly children. All right, this is Wisdom of Solomon 3:16. It says, "For as for the children of adulterers, they shall not come to the perfection, and the seed of an unrighteous bed shall be rooted out. For though they live long, yet shall they be nothing regarded, and their last age shall be without honor. Or if they die quickly, they have no hope, neither comfort in the day of their trial. For horrible is the end of the unrighteous generation." So King James understood, look, I'd rather be fatherless than to have wicked ass children, man. All right, because King James was a man that feared the Most High, man. All right, so this goes, you know, against the narrative that's pushed out there of how he was a Mo, because that's not true. Okay, so this is why we can read through the lines and let you know that you people you speak what you don't know, man. All right, so we're here to prove that, and King James understood that, man. All right, to keep the laws of Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai is how you continue, to keep your kingdom going, man. All right, and I'm gonna get these last two and I'm gonna end it. Deuteronomy 30 and 15. See, I have set before thee this day life and good and death and evil. In that I command thee this day to love the Lord thy power, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments and his statutes and his judgments, that thou mayest live and multiply, and the Lord thy power shall bless thee in the land whither thou goest to possess it. But if thou turn thy heart away, so that thou wilt not hear, but shall be drawn away and worship other gods and serve them, I denounce unto you this day that ye shall surely perish, and that ye shall not prolong your days upon the land whither thou passes over Jordan to go possess it. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live, that thou mayest love the Lord thy power, and that thou mayest obey his voice, and that thou mayest cleave unto him. For he is thy life and the length of thy days, that thou mayest dwell in the land which the Lord sware unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give them. All right. So this is the same thing that King James was, passing on to his son, man. Okay. Hey, that if you serve the Lord, all right, the Lord will bless you. But if you go against the Lord and sin against him, all right, your Lord will curse you. All right. Because he understood through the wisdom of the law, statute, commandments, all right, how to keep a prosperous kingdom. He was trying to pass on that knowledge unto his son as well. Okay, this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6, and I'm going to start at I read 12 and go down. So it says, Wisdom is glorious and never fadeth away. Yea, she is easily seen of them that love her, and found of such as seeketh her. She preventeth them that desire her, in making herself first known unto them. Whoso seeketh her early shall have no great travail, for he shall find her sitting at his doors. To think therefore upon her is perfection and wisdom, and whoso watcheth for her shall quickly be without care. For she goeth about seeking such are as worthy of her, showeth herself favorably unto them in the ways, and meeteth them in every thought. For the very true beginning of her is the desire of discipline, and the care of discipline is love. And this is the discipline that King James was imparting unto his son, man. All right, to keep the law, statute, commandments. All right. It says, and love is the keeping of her laws, and the giving heed unto her laws is the assurance of incorruption, and incorruption maketh us near unto Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Therefore the desire of wisdom bringeth unto a kingdom. If your delight be then in thrones and scepters, O ye kings of the people, honor wisdom, that you may reign forevermore. And this is the wisdom that King James was imparting unto his son, all right, to follow the ways of the Lord, all right, and the Lord was going to take care of him, man, okay. And so this is how we understand that King James was a believer of the Most High. He feared the Lord, all right, so he could not be a homosexual, man. So that notion, all right, has been killed, okay. Hey, for anybody that's saying that, it shows that they're unlearned, because they didn't do their research. They're just going off hearsay, man. All right. So with that, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I'm gonna end it right here. I want to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rachahakwadash. Double honors to my apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught me this truth and that rule well. And peace and salutation to the elect. Until next time, I say Shalom.